Hey guys, it's Matt here from Freudian Fitness. Welcome to our nutrition course. This is lesson 1, which is the nutrition basics. And in this video, we're going to go through two things. First is the nutrition pyramid, and second is our 3 nutrition rules. So, let's take a look at the nutrition pyramid. As you can see, there are a number of layers to the pyramid, and importance is based on the base being the most important and getting less important as we move our way up. So there's 6 different tiers. We have adherence at the bottom, then we have calories, macronutrients, so our carbs, fats and protein, then we have micronutrients, meal timings, and finally at the top is supplements. Supplements are often where people start to focus when they're looking at getting in shape, but actually they make very little difference if you don't have the tiers below it in place first. So during this course and during your time at the gym, we're going to focus primarily on these bottom 3 layers of the pyramid: adherence, calories and macronutrients. Because if we can get these right, we can make some really impressive progress. Okay, so the nutrition rules. We know it's easy to get lost and confused when it comes to nutrition. There's loads of confusing, conflicting information out there, and there's lots of people with different advice. So we like to make it nice and simple. That's what nutrition here is all about. Simplicity. There's no fads, no crash diets, no dirty bulk, no weird supplements, no restrictions. It's just a few very effective and simple, flexible guidelines that are easy to put into action, and they're even easier to adjust to suit your goals, your personal preferences, and to your lifestyle. It's important to get these nutrition rules right because essentially getting your nutrition right so you can improve your strength, your body composition, your health and your performance can be broken down into these 3 really simple rules. Okay, so rule number 1 is 90% of the time, make sure your meals have a variety of single ingredient foods. This is what that looks like, and it means having stuff like steak, sweet potatoes and peppers. They all have 1 ingredient. So have something like that for dinner instead of a ready meal packed with chemical preservatives and who knows what else. Another way to phrase this could be to just eat real food. And the reason we want to do this is because good quality nutrition gives us energy, it satisfies our hunger better, it improves our health, and there are loads of other benefits. So you want to aim to include lots of good quality, single ingredient foods and not have your diet dominated by junk food and processed stuff. Rule number 2, be flexible 10% of the time. So you should definitely make sure that good quality whole foods dominate your daily food intake. That's why 90% of the time we want to stick to eating single ingredient foods as part of our meals, but the other 10% of the time you can be flexible and pretty much eat whatever you want. So that's what this would look like. It's okay to have donuts, it's okay to have some junk food, and it's okay to just enjoy some of the not so great food that you love. Don't worry about having these things every now and then. Just make sure that A, they don't dominate your diet, and B, when you do have them, they fit into your calorie targets for the day. We're going to talk about calories and tracking your food in a little bit, but the reason we want them to fit into your calorie targets is so you don't massively overeat. Because if you do overeat, you consume too many calories, you're going to end up gaining unwanted body fat. And we know that to lose body fat, we need to be in a calorie deficit. This means consuming slightly less calories than our body is burning. And to build muscle, we need to be in a small calorie surplus. So that's where we're going to be consuming slightly more calories than our body's burning, so we can give our body the building blocks it needs to grow muscle. But within those targets, we can be really flexible. We don't have to be on a clean eating diet all of the time. We can have that flexibility. We're big advocates of this approach because it allows you to enjoy your life and not feel like you're on a strict diet all of the time. It means you can go and have some ice cream when you go to the cinema with your partner, or you can eat some cake at your kid's birthday party. But all of this is reliant on rule number 3. So this is the important one. Rule number 3 is track your food intake and hit your calorie and macro targets every day. So macronutrients are protein, carbs and fats. Now this is important because if you don't track, you can't possibly know if you're eating too much or too little or even being consistent at all. And if you don't know that, then you can't realistically expect to get good long-term results. Like I said, the main reason for tracking is to see if your nutrition targets that have been set by us or your coach are actually working. And by that, I mean, is eating this much food helping you reach your goal of building muscle or losing fat? To start with, these targets from your coach are going to be an educated estimate. They're a good starting point. But then when you check in with your coach and get your measurements done, we can see that maybe you need to eat more or maybe you need to eat less, and we can make those adjustments as we go. It's important to try and be as accurate and as consistent as possible, and you can do all this in an app called MyFitnessPal. Tracking your food allows us to monitor what you're eating and make adjustments in increasing or decreasing your calorie intake so your progress never plateaus for too long. So as well as sticking to rule number 1, 90% of the time make your meals or have a variety of single ingredient foods, and rule number 2, be flexible 10% of the time, you're also going to try and stick to rule number 3, which is to track your food intake and hit your calorie target every day. An important note is that you're never going to be spot on to the exact gram or exact calorie every day, but a good level of accuracy is within 100 to 150 calories. So if your daily calorie target is 2,500, then anywhere between 2,400 and 2,600 is really good. You're never going to be spot on the exact calories, but being in the right ballpark is going to do the trick. So they're the 3 nutrition rules. We literally can't make it any simpler than this. Now it's not going to be easy because there's lots of things that go into this and getting this right every day. There's lots of habits, a lot of hard work, a lot of consistency, but this is as simple and straightforward as nutrition can be broken down to just these 3 things. And the reason it's these 3 is because it's easy to understand, it's straightforward to put into action, and most importantly, they work and they get the job done. They get results. And on top of that, and this is a really important part, you won't ever feel like you're dieting because there's flexibility. There's room to make some changes without feeling like you've fallen off the wagon. There's room to enjoy some of the foods you love that you wouldn't typically be classing as healthy. So just those 3 simple nutrition rules as a nice easy start. Rule number 1, 90% of the time make your meals or a variety of single ingredient foods. Rule number 2, be flexible 10% of the time. Rule number 3, track your food intake and hit your calorie and macro targets every day. Now just a couple of things I will add to this before I finish. When you start tracking, you'll find it a little bit tricky. So the first thing I want you to focus on is just hitting your calorie targets. Don't worry about macros, carbs, fats and protein too much, just hit your calorie targets. Then once you've got that nailed, aim for calories and protein and get those things nailed down. So just one thing at a time. Then once you've got your calories and protein, we can move on to hitting protein, carbs and fats. If you really do struggle with this and you're finding it tough, or maybe just completely new to tracking, a way to make it a bit easier is don't even worry about hitting specific calorie or macro targets. Just get used to tracking using the app for tracking your food and seeing how much you're eating each day, just to get a feel for it for a week or so. And once you feel comfortable with it, then we can go into tracking your calorie targets and then your macro goals later on. So like I said, the 3 nutrition rules. Rule number 1, 90% of the time make your meals or have a variety of single ingredient foods. Rule number 2, be flexible 10% of the time. And rule number 3, track your food intake and hit your calorie and macro targets every single day. And in our next lesson, we're going to be focusing on building better habits.